very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on Newsfirst. I'm Madhushka Balasurya.
And I'm Nicola D'Zoiza. We start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Disaster Management Minister expresses dissatisfaction with the compensation paid to those affected by strong winds. Petroleum Industries Minister says unloading of crude oil has recommenced following the renovation of the pipeline. Trade unions charge that a 12-year-old pipeline is being used. Champions at last. Germany end a 24-year wait for their 4th Football World Cup victory. Maharaja Wardner announced his retirement from Test cricket.
And on our top story for tonight, the Disaster Management Centre says that 1,057 houses were damaged as a result of strong winds that were experienced in a number of districts. Assistant Director of the Centre, Pradeep Kodipidi, stated that 52 houses have been completely destroyed while 2 lives were lost.
According to the Disaster Management Centre, 1,245 individuals residing in the Badulla, Nuwara and Hambantara districts have been affected. A 33-year-old woman died in the Thimbirikadawala area in Shravastipura, Anuradhapura, when a coconut tree collapsed on her. According to the police, the incident took place at around 12:15 p.m. I came outside when I heard the tree fall with the heavy winds, and then I heard screaming. They parked the bike and they parked it on the side of the road. Then she came to pick up a parcel from her husband. That is when the coconut tree fell due to the strong winds and fell on top of her, and she was unable to move. The districts of Nuwara and Badulla face the brunt of the extreme weather conditions. 80 schools in the Valley Mada, Badulla and Haldamulla areas were closed today as a result of the strong winds. The district secretary of Badulla noted that 545 houses in the area were damaged.
All my belongings are destroyed and a lot of destruction has taken place. We are hoping that the government will at least help us repair the roof.
The strong winds experienced in the Nuwara district affected 1,215 persons. The district secretary of Nuwara stated that the affected persons are being housed at 4 camps. He added that 313 houses sustained damage due to the strong winds. This is the manner in which the strong winds tore off the roofs of the Ragala Tamil College in Nuwara.
We urge the President to help us and to grant approval for relief.
Nearly 300 houses sustained damages due to the strong winds in the Halpe and Beheragoda areas located in the Imbupe Divisional Secretariat area in Balangoda. The power supply to the area has been disrupted while the displaced persons are being housed at a camp set up in the Beheragoda Vidyalaya in Balangoda. A number of farmlands in the area were also affected by the strong winds.
The roofs of some of the houses have been blown away while some of the houses have been destroyed. Trees have been uprooted and have fallen on top of houses. All of our cultivations have been destroyed. We are left only with roots.
We have no place to stay. That is why we have come to this school with our children to seek refuge. We are unable to even send our children to school. Trees have fallen on top of our houses and there is no place for our children to stay. Several houses and temples in the Dimutugama area in Valimada also sustained damages. Minister of Disaster Management Mahinda Amaraveera stated that relief is being offered to those affected by the strong winds. Compensation amounting to 100,000 rupees is usually granted to a house which is destroyed by strong winds. Newsfirst questioned the subject minister as to whether this amount is sufficient as it has not changed in a number of years.
Before they provided 50,000 rupees as compensation and now they give 100,000 rupees. Even 15,000 rupees is insufficient funeral aid and I too believe that this should be increased. Therefore, we will try our level best to put forth this matter to the cabinet ministers, the Minister of Finance and the President.
උපරිම උත්සාහයක් දරනවා.
Why is the subject minister taking steps to rectify this issue?
මේ මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් අවසර
We have asked for approval from the Ministry of Finance, but unfortunately we aren't able to increase the amount. Even though they have increased the budget for everything else, they have not increased the amount for this purpose. I too am not satisfied with the amount allocated. They must increase this, and I will try to request for an increase once again.
Meanwhile, the Met Department predicts strong winds in the coastal area extending from Puttalam to Pottuvilwa, Colombo and Galle. The department advises the fishing and naval community to remain vigilant when setting out to sea. The Met Department also predicts that the intensity of the strong winds that are blowing across the country will subside today.
Absolutely astonishing scenes there. Now moving on to other local news, dairy farmers in the south, which is renowned for its buffalo curd, are currently struggling against the odds as they are faced with a drought. The drought has led to a shortage in grazing grounds and water for the cattle.
Dairy farming is a lifeblood of people in Suryawewa, Hayakanuwa, Hathekanuwa and Gunnoruwa in Hambantota. However, the dried up minor reservoirs and wilting grounds have caused farmers to face major hardships.
When there is rain, it pours. Usually these animals are very fit, but now all the calves are very thin.
Farmers say that there has also been a reduction in the milk produced by dairy cows.
There is no place for the cattle to graze. We are surrounded by paddy fields and there is no water.
Dairy farmers say that they have also lost out on the opportunity to earn an income by selling buffalo curd to pilgrims who pass this way en route to Katharagama.
Coming up tonight, the bitter taste of defeat. Buenos Aires on fire. The aftermath of the 2014 FIFA World Cup final. Details coming up later on in the bulletin.
And I'm moving into some sports news. The biggest sports news, in fact, Germany have been crowned world champions for a fourth time, thanks to a stunning extra-time winner from super sub Mario Götze. Argentina were preparing for a penalty shootout at the Maracanã, but in the 113th minute, Götze chested down Andre Schürrle's cross and volleyed home to cap a historic victory for the Germans. It did not take long for this game to live up to its pre-match billing as the ball flew from one end to another amid a backdrop of raucous noise, particularly from the Argentinians. Both sides created and squandered chances. Miroslav Klose came agonizingly close to heading home Philipp Lahm's cross, while Gonzalo Higuain missed a glorious chance. Toni Kroos's calamitous backheader put Higuain clean through on goal, but the Napoli striker dragged his shot wide. The first half then came to a dramatic conclusion. Lionel Messi squeezed the ball past Manuel Neuer, but Jerome Boateng cleared off the line. And Benedict Havidis hit a post with a header from Kroos's corner. Less than 90 seconds after the restart, Messi again found a way through the Germany defence, but he dragged his shot a foot wide when he should have scored. The game eventually petered out until the referee blew to signal the end of 90 minutes, and it was in extra time that the killer moment came that won the Germans the World Cup. Mario Götze cushioned substitute Andre Schürrle's cross on his chest and swept the ball past the Argentine goalkeeper from close range. It was a wonderful strike worthy of winning any tournament. Germany's Manuel Neuer picked up the golden gloves for his fantastic work in front of goal, while Lionel Messi picked up the golden ball for the player of the tournament. Colombia's James Rodriguez, meanwhile, was awarded the golden boot for his 5 goals in 4 games. Shortly afterwards, the German team made its way up the stairs for Captain Lahm to raise the hallowed 18-carat gold trophy as confetti rained down and fireworks exploded in the sky. And the party went on as German fans danced and cheered as they left Rio de Janeiro's iconic Maracanã Stadium. After watching the trophy ceremony, Germany fans emerged ready to party into the night.
Deutschland! 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 Deutschland!
It is brilliant to be world champions in the stadium of all stadiums. We only experience this once every 24 years. Today, this is the moment. Sensational. It's crazy. The Brazilians are celebrating with us, and that's the best thing.
Meanwhile, over in Berlin, Götz's brilliant volley transformed nervous tension into euphoria as emotions overflowed. However, while Germany was beside itself, the dark side of football reared its ugly head in Buenos Aires, as police had to use tear gas and water cannons to disperse angry fans. The clashes occurred in the center of the Argentinian capital, near the landmark obelisk of Buenos Aires, where thousands of people had peacefully gathered earlier to cheer for their team. Despite the late-night clashes, though, the majority of Argentinians have accepted the loss with dignity.
They played equally well, so it could have been one or the other to win. But in life, you win and lose. It was a great match. Congratulations, Germany, and Argentina will get back up again.
Still in sports news in cricket, former Sri Lanka captain Mahela Jayawardene has decided to retire from Test cricket. A statement issued by Sri Lanka Cricket notes that Mahela had conveyed his decision in writing to the CEO of SLC.
Mahela Jayawardene is scheduled to retire from Test cricket following the series against South Africa and Pakistan. SLC says that in his letter, Mahela Jayawardene noted that the decision to retire from Test cricket was a difficult one. He had added that it was the appropriate time to retire from the long form of the game. Mahela notes that in his 18 years, he had been able to bring respect to the country. Mahela Jayawardene, who won his first Test cap in 1997, is renowned as one of the best batsmen in the game, having scored 11,493 runs in 145 matches. His impressive record boasts 33 centuries and 48 half-centuries. Mahela Jayawardene is the second highest scoring Sri Lankan batsman in Test cricket.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the government sector will be able to provide a better service to the public if it is further strengthened. Addressing a function in Colombo, the President stated that this is the policy and belief of the current government.
The new headquarters of the Sri Lanka Customs Department was declared open by President Mahinda Rajapaksa today. According to the Presidential Media Unit, the state-of-art 11-storey complex was built at a cost of over 10 billion rupees. The Customs Museum was also declared open by the President today.
උන්ගේ මතවාදයේ තියෙන්නේ රාජ්‍ය සේවය අඩු කළ යුතුයි.
Their opinion is that the public service should be downsized. This has not changed to date. Even today, they have placed great faith in the private sector. There is no faith in the public service. They think that the public service is inefficient. They believe that if there is to be good governance, they need to look at other systems. That is why it was said that this needs to become an authority. That is why it was said the administration should be entrusted to another group. It was said that the system of charging taxes should be gradually outsourced on the basis that we could earn some money through that. This was the belief that existed until 2005.
මේක තමයි 2005 වෙනකම් තිබුණු විශ්වාසය.
In business news, Minister of Petroleum Industries Anura Priyadarshana Yapa says the unloading of crude oil has recommenced following the conclusion of repairs to the pipeline system. He also expressed his belief that operations would recommence at the Sapugaskanda oil refinery within a few days.
The unloading of crude oil from the sea to land was halted on the 22nd of May owing to a fault in the pipeline system. As a result, several ships carrying oil to the country were anchored outside the Colombo harbour, while the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation had to pay surcharges for the delay. The Sapugaskanda Oil Refinery too has been inoperational since the 22nd of June owing to the lack of crude oil. Owing to these events, the opportunity to provide one-third of the country's demand for fuel through low-cost fuel refined at the Sapugaskanda facility was also lost.
We commenced releasing crude oil yesterday. There are 3 ships carrying crude oil and we hope to complete unloading this fuel as soon as possible. At the same time, we will also be able to recommence operations at the refinery within a day or 2. This task is already underway. In truth, we are very happy that we were able to restore normalcy.
Trade unions meanwhile charge that a 12-year-old pipeline has been used to renovate the pipeline system.
While we have used the proper pipelines for 30-odd years, instead of using these pipelines, they have taken the Manoli-type pipe, which has been rejected on 20 prior occasions. That is the cause for all the crises that have arisen between the 27th of May and today. The losses incurred run into more than 250 million. Against this backdrop, this country, which transports various things here by air, has been unable to get a pipeline which meets the necessary standards to replace the one that has been broken for 47 days. We did not have the required pipes, and that is why we used the piston pipe which we had decommissioned. We have submitted orders for a new pipe, and that process takes several weeks. It is throughout all this that we have been successful.
Meanwhile, the pipeline carrying imported refined fuel from sea to the Muthurajavilla terminal also broke down on the 4th of this month when the pipe burst.
The renovation work is currently underway. We have the types of hoses necessary for this purpose, so there will be no problem there. We said we would renovate this before the ship comes in, so that work has already commenced. This government is thieving off pipes too. After the pipelines became inactive, authorities at the Petroleum Corporation made back-to-back orders for oil, and today at the harbour there are 400,000 metric tons of oil which cannot be unloaded. The loss incurred per day is 250 million. Public funds are being paid out to foreign companies. Who should be held accountable for this? The present government. I wish to say to you now that we will initiate a major battle within Parliament to defeat this major national conspiracy.
Moving into Newsfirst's ongoing coverage of the provincial elections. It's time now for the battle for Uva.
Do not be fooled by statements made by individuals who have been angered. Our difference in votes in the Western Province is larger than the number of votes that the UNP was able to get, even with the UNP Municipal Council in place.
A clear signal has been given that the time has come to chase away this government. The government is now trying to change this through an election in the Uva province. However, what they don't realize is that this trend will only continue to grow. They won't be able to create a situation which benefits them once more.
It is difficult, I admit it, but look at how many new things are there in your houses. In 2005, the people of Sri Lanka used only 2.2 million mobile phones. Now it's around 22.3 million. In 2005, there were only 1.1 million motorbikes. Today there are 2.7 million. Have monkeys purchased these motorbikes? No.
There are 32 seats in the Uva Provincial Council. They are now trying to transfer 3 seats. This means that you need 45,000 votes to elect a member from Badulla, while you need only 30,000 votes to elect a member from Monoragala. Is this democracy?
There is no other leader in our country that has conducted more elections than the president. Every day there is an election.
3 murders took place during the past 24 hours. The most recent incident was reported from Yakkala.
A 37-year-old resident of Bogomua area in Yakkala was stabbed to death with a sharp weapon. According to the police, the incident took place when a group visited the victim's house in order to inquire an assault carried out by him. An argument had ensued and the victim was stabbed to death thereafter. 3 individuals have been arrested in connection to the murder.
Our son did not say anything. They came and said, Nalaka, you have committed 2 mistakes over the past couple of years.
In a backdrop where murders and crimes are being reported from around the country, a national newspaper published this article today. This reveals that a quarter of the police stations in the country do not have an officer in charge or an OIC. The Miriana, Avisavela and Dehivela police stations are among the list of police stations that are currently functioning without an OIC. The newspaper report adds that of the 432 police stations in the country, 120 of them do not have an OIC. However, the police media spokesperson denied these charges and stated that such vacancies existed in the past but have already been filled. He added that there are only few police stations functioning without an OIC.
The vacancies in 120 police stations were mostly caused because a number of officers were promoted to the rank of ASP recently. These vacancies are currently being filled. There are only a few police stations functioning without an OIC or an HQI. We are taking speedy measures to fill these vacancies.
The police media spokesperson himself accepts that a number of police stations function without an OIC. In such a backdrop, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka expressed their suspicion about the transfers being given to police officers recently. The association pointed out that the transfer of a police officer in charge of the Kalutara area when incidents of violence transpired in Alutgama to the CCD is suspicious, as the CCD is in charge of investigating the deaths that occurred during the unrest.
He has been transferred to the CCD, that is the Colombo Crimes Division. The CCD is investigating the deaths that occurred during the unrest in Alutgama. There is a suspicion that arises with regard to his transfer to the CCD.
What steps are taken regarding the complaints received to the Police Commission on the activities of the police?
The IGP as well as all the DIGs have been informed to act on the complaints that they received from us. Of the cases we have received, we have commenced investigations and initiated disciplinary action through the IGP against 60 police officers. Our investigators have filed charges against 10 people. Based on our complaints, senior ranking police officers have initiated action against 49 officers through their investigations. The activities of the Police Commission continue to take place.
Secretary to the National Police Commission Attorney at Law TMKB Tennakon stated that as at 30th June this year, the Commission had received 335 written complaints about the police. 145 of the complaints charged that the police was lethargic, 87 were in relation to the police being partisan, and 67 complaints regarding the misuse of power. Tennakon stated that 227 of these complaints have already been taken up for consideration and concluded. The National Police Commission received 414 complaints against the Sri Lanka Police in 2013. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission had received 531 complaints against the police over the past 6 months. If this is a reflection of the public's attitude towards the police, can law and order be maintained in areas with police stations that operate without an OIC? Although an acting officer is appointed to take care of the day-to-day activities of the police, can any assurance be given that such officers would work responsibly to fulfill the needs of the people? Couldn't this be a basic reason for the rise of crime in such areas? This is a question that is posed by the public.
If you're just joining us, you're watching Primetime News, and up next is Action TV.
Last Thursday, Action TV exposed steps that had been taken by a minister to select 47 projects for the Tirupane divisional under the One Project for One Village program, and the steps taken by the minister to recommend the contractors for his project himself. Action TV cited this letter addressed to the Divisional Secretary of Tirupane by a coordinating secretary of the minister. While the estimated cost of these 47 projects was listed at 350 million rupees according to this letter, 7 members of the Tirupane Pradesha Sabha, including the chairman of the council, have been recommended as contractors for 17 of these projects, which have an estimated cost of 15 million rupees. The chairman and the members of the Tirupane Pradesha Sabha, who convened a media briefing the next day to respond to the report on Action TV, noted that while they were unaware that they have been named as contractors, nominating them for these tasks would be a violation of the local government ordinance.
There were former chief ministers and electorate organizers, but none of them sent a letter like this. We see this as an undue interference. Thereby our members have decided to oppose this and have agreed that we will not agree to this.
At this media briefing, the spillover effects of this misuse of political power to grant contracts for development projects also came to light.
These projects are to be completed by September. However, when there is such undue influence exerted on the divisional secretariat, we are unable to get the necessary certificates signed and are thus unable to implement the projects.
The very same coordinating secretary to the minister has sent a similar letter to the Ipologama divisional secretary. In this letter too, he recommends the 17 contractors for 17 projects to be implemented in the Ipologama division under the One Project for One Village program.
Still to come on in the news tonight, the largest maritime salvage operation in history. More details from the international desk. The grand finale of Super Fighter concluded amid much fanfare and ceremony last evening, having introduced onto the national stage a group of talented boxers who will doubtless go on to do their country proud, overcoming all obstacles. Panuka Jayampati of the Vidyarthana faculty in Horana won the coveted Super Fighter title of Best Boxer in the competition. Insika Sanjay of Vidyartha College Kandy won the title of Most Popular Boxer at Super Fighter.
Super Fighter, Sri Lanka's first sports reality TV program, is a joint initiative of MTV MBC Media Networks, Newsfirst, MAS Holdings and the Sri Lanka Amateur Boxing Association, of which the primary purpose was to bring the nation closer to realizing the dream of Olympic gold at the 2020 Olympic Games. The program reached its climax in grand fashion at the resplendent Stein Studios in Ratmalana last evening. Fans flocked to Stein Studios to provide support to 8 finalists of Super Fighter. The final bouts of Super Fighter, which provided novel experiences to the Sri Lankan TV audience, were held in a ring constructed to meet the highest international standards. Ishanka Sanjay of Vidyartha College Kandy, who emerged from among more than 15,000 aspiring boxers who participated in the Super Fighter trials, emerged victorious in the 49 kg weight class. Buddhikamanaram of Kalyani Pradeep Institute in Delgoda emerged champion in the 52 kg weight class. The accolades were doubled for the Vidyartha faculty in Horana, which saw both their 56 kg weight class contender Panuka Jayampati and 60 kg weight class contender Sandeepa Samarasinghe winning their final bouts to emerge champions.
ඉතාම දුෂ්කර පළාත් වලින් එන මේ ක්‍රීඩකයන් වැඩියෙන්ම බොක්සිං ක්‍රීඩකයන් අපි දන්නවා ලංකාව.
We know that many of these boxers who hail from very rural areas are capable of winning a gold medal on the world stage. As a company and as Sri Lankans, we wish to take them on the long journey with our fullest support and to bring victory to Sri Lanka someday.
ඔවුන්ව දීර්ඝ ගමනක ගෙනහිල්ලා ඔවුන්ට සම්පූර්ණ අතහිත දීලා ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට කවදා හරි ජයග්‍රහණයක් ගේන්නේ.
ක්‍රීඩාවයි කැපිටල් මහරජා සංවිධානය අතර තියෙන සම්බන්ධය ගැන මේ රටේ
Everyone in this country is aware of the close relationship between sports and the Capital Maharaja organization. From the 1950s through to the 60s, 70s and 80s, the group was instrumental in promoting sports, especially netball, basketball and cricket. Cricketers of the caliber of Michael Thisera and Neil Shanmugam, who were as talented as today's professional cricketers like T.M. Dilshan, played, however, before ICC status. Dulip Mendes, Siddharth Vettamuni and Ashanta Demel in the 80s were even employed by the Capital Maharaja organisation because cricket at that time was not a professional sport in Sri Lanka. It was that initial injection of commitment to the sport that has led to the success and professional opportunities available for cricketers today. It is with the same commitment to develop sports that we have decided to support boxing. If you look at the profiles of the boxers fighting tonight, you would notice that most of them come from difficult circumstances. Why can't Sri Lankan boxers like them go on to win medals on the world stage and become the next Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao? Why can't one of our own Sri Lankans take centre stage on the world sporting arena? It is a commitment to this dream that the Capital Maharaja organisation gives to all of Sri Lanka.
The most colourful moment of the grand finale of Super Fighter, which featured numerous dance and song performances, was no doubt the announcement of the winners. Krishna Menon Sindhujan of Royal College, Colombo, was adjudged the best loser. Ishanka Sanjay of Vidyartha College, Kandy, was selected the most popular boxer through a public poll. Bhanuka Jayampati of the Vidyartha faculty, Horana, won the coveted Super Fighter title of Best Boxer. To watch the entire broadcast of the grand finale of Super Fighter, Sri Lanka's first reality sports TV program, visit www.newsfirst.lk.
Super Fighter.
Celebrate cultural diversity through art. A society rejuvenated by social integration through dialogue.
In your local news, a group of employees of the Umaoya project, which is funded by the Iranian government, staged a protest today in Valimada.
The protest was staged citing several reasons, including the authorities' failure to pay the allowances of workers. The protesters say that they were forced to engage in this protest as their demands did not receive a response on prior occasions.
The
employees are working here with no food and no facilities amid much difficulty. The basic wage is very low and there are no overtime payments. Even when taking leave, we face many difficulties.
The demonstrators also took steps to lodge a complaint with the Department of Labour. Officials from the Department of Labour carried out discussions with the Iranian officials in the area today. According to our correspondent, the Iranian officials had prevented the media from reporting on the incident. We contacted the office of the Department of Labour in Haputale regarding the incident. A spokesperson there said that officials in charge of the project had stated that while they have no understanding of how to provide the employees with contracts, they will look into the matter and try to find a solution to the problem. A spokesperson at the department said that if the Iranian officials do not solve the issues related to the employees in the future, they will take necessary action against them. The department said that they are hoping that the workers will report to work by tomorrow.
The 11th edition of the Gum at the program, organized by Newsfirst to give the people a voice and bring them onto the same stage as their public representatives and public officials, is being recorded live at the foot of the Sigiriya Rock. The Gum at the program is seeing the participation of several officials, including Minister of Culture and Arts T.B. Ekanaika, officials of the Divisional Secretariat of Dambulla, tourist guides and area residents of Sigiriya. The program, which is an initiative of Newsfirst, has been instrumental in providing solutions for the less fortunate, as it provides a platform for both authorities and the public to exchange views on hard-hitting issues.
Still in local news, Western Provincial Councillor, Attorney-at-Law Susara Dinal attended an event held in Gampaha last evening.
The Gampaha District Youth Games, organised in line with the 26th National Youth Games, was held at the Sri Bodhi Sports Ground in Gampaha throughout the day yesterday. The games were held under the aegis of Western Provincial Councillor Attorney-at-Law Susara Dinal and the Director General and Chairman of the National Youth Services Council, Attorney-at-Law Lalit Peung Pereira. Young men and women in every country in the world are using sport as a means, a weapon by which to carry their flag to the international stage and spread the identity and strength of their country. While war, racism and communalism are being incited across several parts of the world, while various conflicts are being created between countries, if we turn our attention beyond the shores of our small country for just a moment, we can see how youth have overcome all of this to lift their nations onto the international stage and bring repute and accolades.
පුංචි රටෙන් ඔබට මොහොතක් අපි අපේ අවධානය යොමු කරාම අපිට පෙනී යනවා.
Thousands of Palestinians are fleeing northern parts of Gaza after Israel warned it was targeting the area in its campaign to stop the continuing rocket attacks from Gaza militants. The UN says 17,000 people have sought refuge in its facilities. Yesterday, Israeli forces raided a suspected rocket launch site in Gaza in their first reported ground incursion. World powers are preparing to meet over the spiraling violence as the Palestinian death toll from the Israeli air campaign hit 172, with another 1,230 people wounded.
Israel has hit the Gaza Strip with airstrikes and artillery fire on the 7th day of its offensive as diplomatic efforts to halt the bloodshed intensify. Aircraft struck 3 training facilities of Hamas's military wing, the Qassam brigades, around the coastal territory early today but caused no casualties. They also hit buildings in Gaza City, Deir el-Bala in the southern part of the Strip and in the northern town of Jabalia, injuring an unspecified number of people. Fearing for their lives, about 17,000 people have taken shelter in installations of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA. As the death toll rose, the Gaza-based Palestinian Center for Human Rights said most of the victims were civilians, putting their number at more than 130, among them 35 children and 26 women. It also said Israel had destroyed 147 homes and badly damaged hundreds of others. So far, no Israelis have been killed, although Hamas has fired hundreds of rockets into the country since the fighting began on the 8th of July. The conflict is also having a spillover effect on the borders with Syria and Lebanon, where there have been exchanges of rocket and artillery fire. On the Palestinian side, President Mahmoud Abbas said he would ask UN Chief Ban Ki-moon to, quote, put the state of Palestine under the UN International Protection System, unquote, in order to address the violence in Gaza. Pope Francis appealed to world leaders for both prayer and diplomacy to halt the bloodshed, while the German and Italian foreign ministers were both poised to head to the region to join truce efforts. With Palestinian civilians bearing the brunt of the violence, the international outcry has been growing, with people in several parts of the world protesting against Israel and in support of Gaza. Protests with participants ranging from a few hundred to thousands have been witnessed from Australia to Washington, D.C.
نتظاهر ضد القصف العشوائي واليومي وبالدقائق على أطفال غزة.
India's Supreme Court today put on hold the execution of 2 of the 4 men convicted of raping and killing a young student in Delhi in December 2012. The court had stayed the death penalty of the 2 others in March, days after the Delhi High Court rejected the appeal of all 4 men, calling the crime premeditated and callous and one that left an indelible scar on the social order. The Supreme Court's stay is part of the procedure to examine the convicts' appeal against their death sentence. The Supreme Court order comes amid a backdrop where Indian lawmakers are calling for minors to be tried as adults in the case of rape.
We are changing the law to, in fact, I'm working on it personally, and I will see that it is changed, to bring 16-year-olds into the purview, because according to the police, 50% of all sexual crimes are 16-year-olds who know the JJ Act, Juvenile Justice Act, so they can do it. But now if we, for premeditated murder, for rape, if we bring them into the purview of the adult world, then it will scare.
Salvage teams began to work to refloat the Costa Concordia at dawn today in the final stage of a salvage operation that has never before been carried out.
The 290-meter Concordia hulk is currently resting on a temporary platform or false seabed at a depth of about 31 meters.
Air is now being pumped into 30 sponsons or large metal boxes attached around the hull of the ship.
The air will force water out of the sponsons and slowly allow the vessel to begin floating.
By mid-morning, the salvage team hoped to have floated the cruise liner 2 meters above the temporary platform, allowing the ship then to be pulled by tugs some 30 meters to the east, away from the shore where it will be temporarily anchored.
The Concordia will then begin its final journey to the port of Genoa, where it will be scrapped.
The Concordia struck a reef off the Italian island of Giglio in January 2012 and capsized, killing 32 people. And that's a wrap of your primetime news for tonight. Thank you for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola De Zoiza.
And I'm Madhushka Balasurya. Thanks for stopping by. Good night.
Good night.